Welcome back to the Hawkscast. I'm Brettlyn Johns, and I'm here with Emma Cloak and Mrs. Kidder. Before we start, I actually want to say, you're an English teacher, so do you think it should be the Hawkscast or the Hawkcast? S or no S?
Well, this is an interesting question. I didn't know we were going to start with grammar. So I think you can go either way. We actually had this debate at newspaper this year. So the placement of the apostrophe was moved. We started with the Hawks view, like it was one hawk for the newspaper title. And then Emma and the group felt that, Emma's our editor, felt that maybe it would be all the hawks,
multiple
hawks, like the group collectively of high school students. So, and that's why we shifted it. So I feel like that's a decision to be made by the group.
Well, I don't like it without the S. I always say Hawkscast, and then everyone else that does a podcast just does Hawkcast. And I've gotten to the argument with Swanson that it should have an S. But
I think it should have an S because there's multiple hosts.
I agree.
So. But maybe that it's just the sound, the consonant sound that people desire.
Okay.
The Hawkcast is harder to say than the Hawkscast also.
I agree. All right, so Mr. Swanson, it is the Hawkscast. It's been decided, the whole year we've been saying Hawkcast, but it's decided that there's an S now. But on this podcast, I want to talk about senior year because we're coming to the end here. So I'll start with you. How's your senior year going?
It's going. I'm excited for it to be over because just looking forward to things. And it's kind of like, you always make the analogy, Ms. Kidder, of like the fishbowl. Is like, I've been swimming in this fishbowl for far too long, and I'm ready to get a new tank.
Yeah, a big tank.
A big tank.
Bigger tank. Yeah.
With new fish.
Any highlights from your senior year that you'd like to talk about?
I think that a big highlight would be the Hawks view, Laurel Hawks. It gave me an opportunity to have like a creative outlet, and it also gave me like some say in like other school activities. And there's a good group of kids there that like are very, like I've become very close with the majority of them, and we were able to do some different things this year. It was like the first year we had like a physical paper again, and everything dwindles off towards the end of the year. Like everyone kind of gets worked up in other things, but it was a really big part of my senior year, and I'm thankful that I was able to have that.
Well, I'm thankful I'm a part of it.
Yes.
Yes, I am in newspaper, but besides the point. Now,
flex.
Mrs. Kidder.
Brettlyn took the most important picture of the newspaper this year. So
yes, that is one of the greatest pictures I've ever taken. So, no, you win some, you lose some, but that was a win.
Good picture.
Now, Mrs. Kidder, I'm curious, how was your senior year? Like
my personal senior year.
Yes, I want to know.
So like the two of you, I tried to do every activity possible. And I think sometimes that becomes overwhelming because you think I can be in all of these clubs and, have a dance recital and play all the sports and do all of the, activities that you are, like you said, you're looking forward to everything, prom and graduation and everything that leads up to that. But I think that I was so busy, I missed some of those key moments. But I really did enjoy my senior year. I mean, I don't know when I slept because to keep up with the classwork, and I did not let my grades drop at the end of the fourth 9 weeks.
That is a good thing.
And you should not do that. But I really enjoyed just everything that we had. And just like now, like we really lived by like disposable cameras, fun savers that you took to Walmart and waited for your pictures to be developed in the 90s. So I feel that, I have those pictures. You guys have so many visual representations of every single thing you do, which I think is positive and sometimes negative.
I agree.
But, we made photo albums and, your parents, because I'm their age, have that. And I think that's kind of cool. But, yeah, just maybe too much. I did a lot. But it was fun.
Yeah.
We went on the Gateway Clipper. Like, it was just every day. And that's how you guys feel right now. I know it. Like, every day it feels like there's a chorus concert, there's an activity, a field trip. And April and May are just so jam-packed. So just remember to, I always tell people when they're going into their wedding too, remember to pause and enjoy the moment. And just reflect on where you're at.
Yeah. That's like something I think that you and I had a lot of struggle with this year. Like, spread so thin.
Yeah, I just felt
what do I
like
have time for.
Yeah, I just felt like I was I'm always running or doing something.
And then it's even like personal because you're like also like, oh, I have all these things to do because it's senior year, and then it's like, it's senior year, and I'm moving out, I'll never see my family again, which is not true. But it's like the feeling of like, oh, I'm not going to live with these people anymore, which is also a great thing, but a sad thing too.
Sad, very sad.
Well, college, that time period presents like that independence, but you're still dependent. It's a gray area that you never get to live again. So also take the time to enjoy that.
Yeah.
Like that quality time when you come home and see your family is more significant because you're not with them every day anymore.
Yeah.
It will be crazy.
I feel like recently my life has started to slow down compared to the beginning of the year, and I don't know how to like function. Like, I feel like I'm not doing as much of the stuff I was in the beginning of the year, and it's like
there's like kind of
very hard.
There's like nothing left to do.
Yeah, I know.
Well, there's like the senior trip coming up for the people who are going on that, and there was the musical that passed. And I think that was like very I think since the musical has been over, there's been like a lull in the school because everyone who's in the musical is like, I have nothing now. Well, not nothing, but they have nothing to do after school. And it was amazing.
I love the
We
musical.
should give a shout out.
Yes,
Yes,
shout out to the
it
musical.
was wonderful.
All leads did amazing. Ensemble did amazing. The pit was amazing. Everything was awesome.
Everything.
Lights.
I'm glad I got to see it 3 times.
Yeah, you did get to see it. I saw it once.
I would have gone back. If I could have figured out the schedule, I would have gone back for a second showing.
I didn't realize how good it was going to be until we had like the preview, and I was like dumbfounded. I was like sitting in the audience with my mouth like wide open, like I have to watch it again.
I even said that the preview, if it happened a little sooner, like not the day before, it would be really helpful for ticket sales. Not that they needed any help because they sold out, but just some people don't realize what they're going to see in the show, and
especially like Mamma Mia. Like I've never seen the movie. I watched it after I saw the musical because I was intrigued. But then, whenever I was watching it, I was like, "What is this? Like, who wrote this story?" Because it was all like these songs were already written, and then they were like, put a weird story together with ABBA.
I was like talking and I was like, what is even Mamma Mia about? And it's like, oh, people were like, this girl, she has like 3 dads and she's trying to find out who it is. And I'm like, for a school musical, that okay. And then I see it and it's like, oh, wow, that was fantastic.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So, Mrs. Kidder, I have you for an English, and my English class is pretty eventful. What are your opinion on the class of 2022 opposed to other years?
And don't talk about your AP students yet, because we know you're your favorite. All 8 of us.
I love all seniors, right? And some I don't even know because they have other teachers. But I think that it's interesting because I took over senior English. Like I taught seniors at Seneca Valley early in my career, and then I had 7th graders. Interesting time period. And then I shifted through every grade, 11, 9, 10, until I got to 12th grade. But my first year of seniors was March of 2020.
Oh, that's terrible.
So I don't have a great year to compare it to. Last year I was out for an extended amount of time. Plus we were out a lot, with COVID last year. So this would be the first year I feel that I've had a complete year of English with seniors. And I have to say, I love the content of seniors, like the British Lit, the World Lit, just the idea that the next step for you is a major life-altering decision, that you guys are making and you're adults heading out into the world. So I don't know why I didn't move to seniors sooner. I should have. So the content and the age I like. I feel, though, that, we talk about the little things like the senior slide. There's a lot going on. You guys are trying to decide on colleges, and your decisions are so big that sometimes, doing my poetry homework isn't really,
I've done my poetry
I know
homework.
you guys like poems right now. We're moving there, Brettlyn, next week.
I'm
Poetry.
waiting.
If you're listening to this podcast, poetry's coming at you.
Be weary.
It's fun though.
It's not that bad.
It's
I do
not.
like poetry.
You just have to participate in class. That's it. You
Yeah,
just have to
it's
talk
not.
about
It's
poems.
actually a very light subject matter as far as like the tediousness of reading a novel. You have to make time for that. We are in a world that's so distracted, so reading is hard. But poetry is typically shorter, so it should be. You should be able to figure, fit that in before in between Snapchats. But I think that you guys are an interesting class. I think that you've experienced all of the items I just listed, like 2 years of craziness. This year is the first year that feels a little more normal. But I think, there's some gaps there in your experience that you'll never, it'll always be part of who you guys are.
Yeah.
So I hope that like your next step, college, workforce, wherever that leads you, like things are calmed down.
Hopefully.
Right?
Hopefully.
I'm hopeful to not that I haven't had school, but we always talk about it in class, the 10th grade of Julius Caesar. No one read Julius Caesar. No one read Antigone. No one read it. Emma read it. Emma was the only one in all of 10th grade that read these books.
Good job,
Not really,
Emma.
but I felt so bad. We had Miss Barnhart, and she was our student teacher, and she would sit on these Google Meets, she's student teaching to a computer, and I've always felt so bad because no one would respond, and I was like, oh, I don't want to read these books. I don't want to do all this work, but I did it anyway because I felt so bad. But since then, it's always kind of been do I really know what I'm talking about whenever I do my schoolwork? In biology and chemistry are really hard ones for me because English it's not it changes, but it's you kind of talk about similar subjects and you just change British lit or American lit or grammar depending. But with biology and chemistry, I was what am I talking? What is this? Chem 2? I didn't have Chem 2. I don't know what that is. Half of the topics you're kind of foggy on. So do you think that that'll affect us, having those 2 years? Do you think teaching those classes that you felt a difference in your students?
I want to say yes. I noticed it in the writing this year. You know what I mean? And maybe it was noticed last year in 11th grade that there were just some elements that you hadn't covered yet. But I think that's part of being a teacher, and you will see. Yeah. You just have to teach it and make up for it, and go back and reteach items if they're needed. But we've done a lot of writing this year, maybe more than I would have done, because I want you to just be ready for whatever English is in your future, college or workforce. You're going to have to write, speak, read, or listen. And so I just making sure those skills are there. We're talking about interviewing a little bit right now. So just getting into those life skills that you're going to use no matter what. So I think, as a society, we'll make it up. My child was in preschool.
Oh yeah.
So I think everybody is affected in a different way, depending on whatever level they were at. But I think society will adapt and adjust, and
figure it
people
out.
will help you along the way. The professors would know that you've had that gap.
I'm hopeful that there is some, not leniency, just I'm hopeful that they don't, I don't know. It's not we're dumb at all. It's just that we're a little not as prepared.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think I'm prepared. I'm excited. I can't wait for college, but I am nervous that I'm going to be presented with things that I'm just maybe not where I'm supposed to be at with them.
Well, and that might be a personal issue that you have to address. You might have to go back and reteach yourself something to catch up. And that's part of, college or work, whatever it might be, or, you'll figure it out, because that's, humans adapt.
You gotta figure it out.
So Emma, how's your senioritis? I've been thinking about that recently.
Oh my God. My senioritis is I don't even, it's terrible. I never, it's always everyone's oh, I had senioritis whenever I was a freshman. But it's no, it's 10 times worse whenever you are the senior and you're this is it. I have a month left and I can do, it's kind of at the terrible point where it's I can not turn anything in and I'll pass all my classes. That's not what I'll do. But I could just tap out now and be fine and go to college still. And I hear other kids in our grade, they're all oh, I'm already into college, so I'm not doing any more work. And I'm how could you I could not see my grades plummet and skyward and just be
Yeah, no, not about that. I've definitely slacked off and probably not given my best effort on everything, but I'm still getting it in there with, I'm not giving up. But senioritis has gotten pretty bad recently.
How's senioritis in your classrooms? Are you noticing a spike?
I feel that in January we showed signs, but it's like a perfect storm though. January and February we had so many interruptions.
Oh, it was the worst.
Yeah.
It felt like we could never like get a 5-day weekend and get moving.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd say I'm probably 2 to 3 weeks like just off in the curriculum, but it's not that it matters. You just adjust and make up for it. But then when you say May 25th, you're like, okay, that seems scary too, because it just seems like it's approaching quickly.
Also sooner than normal. Like,
yeah, I mean,
it is very fast.
Yeah, it's great for you guys because you'll have that, time. And the weather's been terrible right now, so that helps a little bit. But, I don't know. Senior, it's just something that's going to happen. Like you'll be a senior again if you go to college. So you'll have that experience again. But I think sometimes you're ready to move on from the location. Like you're ready to be a college student. You guys are mature for the most part. And there's exceptions to every rule. But, you have that feeling that you're ready for the next step. And you'll feel the same way when you're in college. Like you'll just be ready to be out like making money in your position with the degree you have. You'll be ready. You'll be going to interviews. You may have a job. Like I know students that had a job from an internship their junior year already offered to them. They just had to get through their senior year. And I think for them, that senioritis is really there because you're talking about like starting your life. So
I think that like I'm always doing work. And I think it's every year that it's like towards the end, it's a little bit more. Like at the end, it's like extra papers or extra assignments that aren't like, they're like in prior weeks we were able to do like one a week, and now it's like two a week. I have to do two assignments
remember,
a
teachers
week.
are trying to keep you focused. Yeah. And I think that's like that. I always get that joke like, oh, what? Everybody's giving all these assignments at the end. Not really. We're just trying to still do the work. And it just seems like it's because then you see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
So like the fourth 9 weeks is different than any other 9 weeks. Like they're all building on each other, and then all of a sudden there's nothing that comes after this.
Yeah. It's like, how am I still doing work right now? I've been doing work for so long.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not anymore. It's not any more challenging. It's not any more like crazy or hard to complete. It's just like,
trust me, teachers think about exactly what they're planning, when they're doing it, trying to keep the interesting stuff at the end of the year just to keep you engaged. And I mean, I think the senioritis, like it applies to you guys more, but it's still there for everybody when something's coming to an end. So the other students are starting to lose sight too, maybe. Hold on. Don't fall for it.
Well, me and Emma, we're both going to IUP. Do you have any advice for us going into college as freshmen?
Oh, well, IUP.
You didn't go to.
I did not, only because my dad went to IUP twice, and he was so obsessed with IUP that I purposely did not go there. So I went to Slippery Rock just so he would be upset. But just so. But I think that just go and do everything you're supposed to do as a college student. Take those classes. I took an art class. I know it's silly. Like I'm really not artistically talented, but in high school, I felt like that was a bright part of my day where I could just do something different. And I feel like taking that drawing class in college just gave me some, just a little cultural experience that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So look for that stuff, those experiences, or going like we went to musicals, and I joined the honor college just like to do those activities. And college gives you, they're always planning events, and it is at a nice price. Like even traveling, if you can travel, take a class and travel. I did that just to travel. I really didn't want to read a lot of books on Galileo, but I did it because I want to go to Italy. So, if you have opportunities, take advantage of that. For some people, it might be like playing a club sport or joining a club or whatever. You could join newspaper.
Oh, Emma, we might be on that.
For you. I think it's the Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
Look for something where you'll, like you said, you're breaking out of the fishbowl, you're going into the tank, but it's like very big. There's lots of opportunities. And always be applying for extra scholarships every year. Free money is good money. You don't have to pay it back. So I just think experiencing everything, finding your niche, but also like trying, new clubs or something you didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
I think that it's like the other thing too, like senioritis is like with schoolwork, but senioritis with like maybe this doesn't make sense, but with scholarships, like sitting down and writing a scholarship is the hardest thing that I've ever done.
Oh, I
because
agree.
I have to talk about myself.
Oh, I'm not, like, when it comes down to it, I know, Emma, you love to say I'm this huge narcissist, but
Shut up.
but when I have to write a scholarship of myself, I'm like, I struggle. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what they want to hear, and I struggle. I understand what you're saying.
We practice this at the beginning of the year. I mean, it's something you have to do. I had a student tell me today that is like what they have on their agenda for the weekend. Yeah. Like they just have to sit down and just hammer them all out, because if not, they're going to procrastinate until they're missing deadlines.
Yeah.
But I think, it's okay to look at what you've accomplished in high school and really think about like who you are now as you head into the next step. I mean, and that's okay to write about that. And it'll get easier. I mean, when you sit in an interview, they're going to ask you, the people interviewing you are going to ask you to talk about yourself.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to say things to get the job. So it's good to look at like what your strengths are. And just once you do one, by the time you get to number 5, you'll be a professional. So the first one's the hard one.
Yeah. I reuse them. I just take stuff from
that's
this
okay.
one
and it gets easier to talk about yourself, and you get a couple interviews and you feel more comfortable. So
the only problem is like the ones that are specific. Like I have this one that's like religious based. So it's like, I gotta like talk about Jesus and God and also how I'm amazing. It's like, how do these intertwine?
Yeah,
how can I make this sound better?
Sometimes the topics do. You're trying to figure out how to connect it, but that's the skill of writing or speaking. If you're giving a speech, trying to find a way to tie these random items together and write your thesis. That's what we practice in English.
Yeah.
Just feel like everything comes back to English.
Oh, always.
No, I'm not saying it's the best subject. I might be saying it's the most useful.
The most useful subject.
It is.
No. See, now you're sucking up.
No, I love English. So.
I'm sure Mr. Chauncey would disagree.
Sure,
math. Math is used every day too. Yeah.
Well,
I do enjoy our third period English most days. Some days. Some days are worse than others, but
a lot of characters in there.
Yeah.
You guys are a class full of characters, but I think I probably say that every year. So,
are we your favorite class?
This year, yes.
Oh, sorry, AP.
No,
I meant 2022.
Oh no, third period. Third period.
Every class has different elements that I like. Right, like third period never is never quiet. Right, some of my classes are quiet, and so that's like an element that I like about that. 10th period is very small, tiny. So that sometimes makes. I think Emma's trying to say their favorites. I think that sometimes makes it like, it's an easy way to end the day. Small, we get a lot done because we can move quickly. Every class is different though. So, yes.
I think that in general, AP classes are just like the best classes. That's not even like
biased.
I can't even.
Have you ever sat in our third period English? I think it changed your mind.
But I've been in English classes where there's been like 30 kids and like 10 kids participate, and it's so difficult because like even this year there's so many scheduling conflicts that we could have had more kids in our 10th period, and the kids who would have been in there would have been lovely additions to our conversation.
Well, I think so when you're talking about discussion, that's what you're going to see at the college level. Like you're going to be in classes in auditoriums, depending on where you go, and it's not scary, but I think it's great to experience, like you said, you'll be in the fish tank. More people, different people coming from different walks of life, different experiences, and they'll have a lot to share. And I think in college, it's expected that you get a lot out of discussion. That is a major element. So that is where you're going to learn a lot. I think I'll challenge your thoughts.
Like I'm definitely not an English major, but I'm very excited for, even though everyone said, Ms. Kidder, people tell me that you and I are one of the same. They say we dress the same. They say there's a couple kids who are like, oh, what are you going for? And they've guessed English. And they're like, oh, well, you remind me of Miss Kidder. And I'm like, that's a compliment. Thank you. But what about me?
It seems to be a trend. So like last year's, it's like newspaper editor, they take the English electives. And then that student also tends to major in the English realm. That doesn't have to be true.
Break the mold.
You'll break the mold, and that's okay because, like you said, you'll use English no matter what your major is or what your future job is. So my husband had to use, he almost had me calling Mrs. Alisak about a geometry problem for carpentry at his work site. He had to do an arch, and it's, so you do use more than you think you'll use.
It's always what you're good at too. Like if you were like, there's what people are like, oh, I'm always an English kid or a math kid or a science kid. It's always
none of the above. None of the above.
Communications for you.
TV.
Took you a while, but
everybody finds their place.
TV, woodshop, nothing, no English, no math, no science. Just the electives.
Everybody's different though.
Yeah.
That's what makes it fun.
I go for the elective. That's where I thrive.
But that's what I'm saying. When you look at that scheduling, try to find different classes that'll, challenge you and give you a different experience.
I just hope I don't get overwhelmed. I think that's my fear, is that I'm going to get very overwhelmed and just...
Everything is manageable, and you'll learn to play the game. You'll learn to listen to what the professors are asking for, and you'll make sure that you do that, right? And every professor is different. Every class is different. Your schedule, like the way you're scheduled, you have more time in between classes. You might have a day that you don't have any classes. You might have a night class, so you only have it once a week. You'll see. It's very different than a structured high school day.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get the only thing I'm going to get worked up with is I think having to do work probably every day.
Yes.
Having something to do every day. And I am at the point in high school where it's like, if I can do all my work on, not that I don't have homework, but it's like, I'm a procrastinator. So 2 days before it's due, this is the day that I started.
Right.
For most people are like that. But in college, you can't have that space. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're not going to have a seminar period.
Some people have a work study. I speak of my own child, works at the library, right? So she works at the library in the morning. It's pretty slow in the morning, but it gives her that set time that she'll work on her work.
Yeah.
I worked the night desk, I sat there. So obviously I did classwork. It was, so you'll find a way to make your schedule work. And every semester will be a different schedule. So you'll adapt. And that kind of gives it variety. So it's not the same thing all the time. Yeah. Which is, I think, something that we kind of get bored with by the end of the school year here. It won't be like that for you.
Yeah. So are you excited for graduation? Do you think it's going to be sad?
I think that there's certain times of the school year where I'm I'm not talking to anyone. Goodbye. No more talking. I'm leaving. But then there's times whenever we had the lift up at the very end, I didn't cry, but people were like, oh, that's so emotional. We all were together and leaving. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that's right. No matter what, whenever we look back, it's always going to be these are the people that I grew up with. I graduated with all these people. They aren't, even if we weren't close with some people, it's I know everyone's name. I'll be able to see them in Walmart or on Facebook. That's a big one. Oh, Facebook friends. Oh, I went to high school with them. My parents always say that. And eventually that'll be me one day. And I'll see that.
It might not be Facebook, though. There might be something cooler out there.
See them on social media or at Walmart. Things like that where you'll see them out in public or whatever. And you'll be wow, they're we have kind of a past together. Even though we weren't close, we still had very similar experiences. And so I think that it'll be emotional. Graduation will be emotional in the fact where it's we're all moving on, but then it's also
you're always connected.
I'm ready for the tag. Yeah. I'm ready. I'm sad to see you leave, but see you around or something.
At baccalaureate, I said to my family, I will never live or work in Katanning because I was naive and I didn't realize. I just thought I needed a break, right? I needed a break. And so that break was provided, and here I am, right? You should never say never. My brothers make me remind me of my wording that I shouldn't have used, but I wouldn't change, you wouldn't change it. So it's good because you're going to go out and have new experiences, grow, and decide where you want to live and what you want to do.
Do you think it's going to be sad?
Yeah. My family and I are really close, and my soccer senior night, you were there.
Yeah.
And my family was just hysterically crying. So I guess I'm excited to see what they're going to be like at graduation.
I think with my family, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us are going to be
or maybe the happiness of the moment will take over more than you think. I would think I wasn't really emotional having a graduate last year. right? Because there are things you're looking forward to, like you said.
Mhm.
I think and everything will be, you guys have like a really, like the end of May is very exciting. Your schedule is fun, and then you'll wake up the next day after graduation, you can still see everybody.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
it won't be, I think it'll be happier than it'll be more of that like proud moment than you realize, that you'll just feel like happy and accomplished and moving on.
It's really so crazy that we're like graduating. Like
I know.
I always think about it, like
it hits me like
graduating high school, like I'm starting my life. What is happening?
It like hits me. I'll be like driving and I'm like, I'm a senior. I'm graduating. Oh my gosh. I'm driving. Like I still can't get over that I can drive. Like sometimes I'll be driving and I'm
honestly,
like, wow, I can drive. I'm
like,
18 now. I'm going to be graduating. Yes. Oh, it's crazy.
It's like we went from like 16 to adults.
Yeah.
In like a year. But it wasn't. It was the same amount of time that it always was. But it's just like time moved in.
I think COVID.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it felt really long, but it like picked up everything. Well, I feel like it went really fast. You don't realize
that you're missing out. Like I think a lot of people, myself included, like definitely myself, became like not like a hermit. I'm not a hermit. Like I still go outside and do things, but like instead of being like, hey, do you want to go do something this weekend? It's like I can't leave my house. I'm not allowed to leave my house. Like, and so I think that got us into a thing where it's like we just stayed at home for so long, and now it's like I can do things, but I'm also.
Do I want to?
Do I want to now because I like being at home now? But it's also like I'm an adult. Like not adult, 18. I'm 18.
You're actually not.
That. I'm going to be 18 in a few days, in 11 days.
11 days. I'm 18.
Yes.
I've been doing stuff like as an adult, and it's crazy and scary.
And it's scary. But I think that it's like all of a sudden we, like we just grew up, and then we have to like figure things out now. It's scary, but it's exciting. And I'm going to be walking on the football field, and like my dad's going to hand me my diploma, and I'm going to that's going to make me cry. I don't think that I'll be like, oh, Dad. I'll just be like, oh my God, like I'm an adult, like I'm so scared, but like not like petrified. But
I hope I don't cry while I'm walking.
Emotional.
I think that's embarrassing. If I start crying while I'm walking, I'm going to be embarrassed.
I think once I turn
I think you're going to be filled with more joy than you realize. You'll be very happy. And after you've practiced it, because Doc Snyder likes it to be very perfect, and Miss King, and I appreciate that because it does. It looks perfect, but you practiced it so much that you're going to just be filled with joy.
Yeah.
That's my prediction. And see if I'm right.
I guess we'll let you know.
I think I'll be focusing on not falling too, because I will be wearing heels.
And that will not a heels type of gal, so but I will not be falling.
I've been to too many graduations where girls have fallen because of their shoe choice, and I will not be. I will not be one of those girls. I feel.
It would be memorable, though.
Oh, God,
nobody would
I
ever
feel like
forget
I just want the graduation to not be something that's memorable.
Yeah,
in that regard.
Well, do you guys have anything else to add before we wrap this up? Okay, I'll take that as a no.
Well, no. Thank you, Ms. Kidder, for coming on.
Yes, thank you. This was highly requested.
Yes, highly requested.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I actually enjoyed it.
Oh,
I was nervous because...
Well, I was nervous.
You shouldn't be.
I was nervous to interview you because, you were talking in class, we're going to be learning how to interview. I'm like, okay, whoa. Okay. Now I have to
Brettlyn will just teach the lesson.
Oh, no. I won't even be in class all next week. I'll be on vacation, so I'll be missing it. But I was like, okay, whoa, we're learning how to interview. I don't want to do it wrong, but...
Well, no, I just feel that some of the communication skills we'll talk about at the end of the year here are going to be life skills.
Yeah.
So no matter where you're headed, they will be appropriate. And like Emma pointed out, English applies to everything. Read, write, speak, listen. It doesn't matter what you're going to do. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. It's always a pleasure. But that's it for this episode. I guess we'll catch you next time on the Hawks Cast. Hawks with an S. Mr. Swanson needs to change it. Okay. Bye.